It being Anything Goes Friday, I'm going to take an Anything Goes and be my own caller here, share a story with you. Last weekend, Louise and I flew up to New Hampshire to the Hunter School in the Salem Children's Village. We started the Salem Children's Village. Louise and I started this back in 1978 as a community for abused kids. And over the years, we were putting our kids, and these kids had some serious problems. A lot of ADD, a lot of Asperger's, a lot of autism, things like this. And we were putting the kids in the local public schools. They couldn't handle them. So we created a school. And it was based on my Hunter and a Farmer's theory, Hunter and a Farmer's World theory of ADHD. So we call it Hunter School. The website is hunterschool.org. And A, I wanted to tell you about it. And B, I was just so blown away. I mean, they did this whole... Because we had Ellen Rotner was there. She's on our board of directors. A friend of ours, Mars Attar, was with us, and a friend of his. We just had a marvelous time. But they did a science fair, and the kids were all there, and they did a presentation for us. And this one girl got up and sang, and a couple of kids, kind of talent show things, and there was one girl who had Asperger's. And say what? Oh, Tourette's. Thank you. It was Tourette's. Yeah, right. Tourette's syndrome is where people have involuntary grunts and tics, and sometimes they even curse and things, and they like that, and make woofing noises, and their body twitches. And she was talking, and she got up in front of the whole group. And she told us this story about how, I don't want these things, these grunts and tics. She described that Asperger's, what it is, and how it's hereditary, and how she was born with it, and how she struggled in school with it, and how she also, one of the things about Asperger's is that people obsess on things. They think about. She said she spent 99% of her time worrying about things that would never happen. And Hunter School has helped her overcome all these things. In fact, there wasn't a single tic throughout her entire presentation, which was remarkable. And then she said, I want you all to have an experience of my world. And one of the little kids passed out paper and a pencil to all of us, one piece of paper and a pencil. And she said, I want you to write the Pledge of Allegiance, and every third word, scratch it out and then write it again. And she gave us maybe a minute, and most of us got about halfway done. And then she said, okay, now stop. And then she said, now look at that. She said, that's how it is for me. I get halfway into something, and then a tic comes in or a thought comes in, and I get interrupted, and I have to redo it. Right? You have to remember where you were and all that. So that's the experience of having Asperger's syndrome. She said, now crumble that piece of paper up into a ball in your hand, and then flatten it back out. She said, you see the same words on it, right? It's theoretically the exact same piece of paper with the same words. She said, but look how crumbled it is. That piece of paper will never be the same. She said, that's my experience of being bullied. That's what everybody experiences who goes through being bullied. You're never the same. And I'm on the edge of crying right now just telling you this story, which I was then when she did it. And she did it with such poise. And then we did the science fair, and then of course, one of the science fair things was a little boy who had a volcano where he poured the vinegar on the baking soda, and it worked great. But some of the science fair things, I mean, most of these kids, particularly the Aspie kids, the autistic kids, are really, really bright. And one of them was a girl who did a science project. In fact, she had sang at the talent thing, and then we went to the science fair. And she did a whole panel on the problem of children who are born literally themselves drug addicted or addicted to alcohol because their mother was. And she talked about how this affects intelligence, how it affects emotional regulation and dysregulation, how these kinds of children have to learn new ways to memorize things, new ways to, very often they have reading disorders, new ways to regulate their emotions and to read other people's emotions. these neurological and physical problems. And then she ended by saying, I was one of those children. I was born to an addicted mother. I was born as an addict, and I went through withdrawal in the first few days of my life. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here. And it just blew my mind. It was just wonderful. So I want to share that story with you. And Hunter School exists in some part by virtue of people kicking in donations. And so if you feel inclined, I would like to personally suggest you may want to go over to hunterschool.org and tell everybody you know about what they're doing. This is a great program. And if you know kids who need these kind of services, they can, the program is full, but they can refer you to good places around the country. And if you've got an extra $25 or $100 or whatever you feel is, $5, you can make a donation at that website, hunterschool.org. It's a complete nonprofit organization. The people who are working there are working way below the pay scales of normal schools, and there are a lot of volunteers. And I'm on the board. Ellen's on the board. The board takes no compensation at all. We paid for our own flight up there. This is a genuine, honest-to-God, small charity where every penny that you give them goes right to the kids. It really does, or right to direct services to the kids. Mars, the fellow I mentioned who was with us, donated a greenhouse to them. And they've started a permaculture program now, and the kids are all involved in this permaculture. We had one of the kids on this show last year, and he talked about how they, at the beginning of every day, they've got this labyrinth out behind one of the houses. There's 3 houses the kids live in. There's this labyrinth out behind one of the houses, and the kids pick up a stone in the morning on their way to school, and they walk the labyrinth holding, they created an intention for the day. What's my goal for the day? Kind of put it in the stone as they hold it in their hand, and then they walk the labyrinth thinking about that, and that just grounds them. Then they leave the stone at the end and go to school. And I walked the labyrinth. Louise and I walked the labyrinth with a couple of the kids while we were there. They were so enthusiastic to show us, and that this is just, and they teach something called energetic mindfulness. And it's a variation basically on mindfulness meditation, on being conscious of your consciousness, on noticing your thoughts. And this is actually a very powerful and sophisticated form of, you could call it meditation. But they teach it as just a way of understanding your own emotional regulation or dysregulation, because these are kids who are all emotionally dysregulated. And they're creating miracles. So hunterschool.org, check it out. And I think you'll be blown away. We've got to we're going to try and get some videos up of some of the things that they've done and stuff, and make the website a little more dynamic. Ellen was really emphatic about that. So we're going to take it on as a project. Anyhow, back with your calls, and Anything Goes Friday here on the Thom Hartmann Program right after this.